All right, we're at the top of the hour, so I just want to say hello and welcome everyone to Wander with Wonder. That's going to be our theme this year in Make It Your Lettering Year. But I also wanted to open this up to everyone who subscribes at Let's Letter Together to just get a little bit of a taste. And I'm doing some visual facilitation work and visual planning in a different way than I ever have done before. So I'm dialing in from a remote island in the Inner Hebrides in Scotland. This room, we call it the Snug. It's a nice little creative room. You'll see the guitar in the corner, and it's a really warm place here in Scotland. It's very cold, and it's already dark outside. So this is a nice little place where we can snuggle up and with ourselves, have a little curry with ourselves, and stay warm. I'm currently croft sitting. So, for those of you who don't know what a croft is, it's like a farm in exchange for a roof over my head and chicken eggs. So, I'm taking care of chickens. For those of you who have heard of woofing, WOOF, please put that in the chat. I would love to share any, maybe after the session today, we can connect. I'm learning about woofing, and I'd love to hear about your experience and where you've been, because this is something that I may continue to do. It's a great way to live rent free and get fed and see the world. And it's allowing me to wander with wonder. And that, like I said, that's this year's theme for Make It Your Lettering Year. And it's kind of my theme for life for a bit. So would love to continue on that journey. So if you're wondering what is Make It Your Lettering Year, because I'm seeing all kinds of names in the chat that are new. So, welcome. It is a year-long course that you have lifetime access to. You buy it once and you get a year's worth of weekly prompts, lettering prompts, full of tips and techniques, and access to all the past guest recordings and future live sessions like this. And some of them even include guest presenters as well. So many people have asked me why this course isn't a subscription base. And I know there's a lot out there. And considering all of the great resources and all the past sessions, but I chose to do it this way, to pay once with lifetime access, because I know how I am. I buy a class. I have limited access to it, and then I rarely use it or I forget about it, and then I have to pay again. And so then I shame myself for not participating due to life circumstances. Then I regret spending the money and it turns into a wicked shame spiral. And so I thought, you know what? I don't want anyone to have that experience. So I thought the best way is to treat my creative practice and yours is to take the pressure off. So if you are here today for this free session, great. If you're considering purchasing Make It Your Lettering Year, it's an investment that keeps on giving because you have access again to all of those resources. So, for those of you that have been here for a while, if you want to, you can share in the chat maybe one of the guests that you've enjoyed. It may have been someone who taught a specific lettering style, a special surface or tool we've worked on, how to make a book, or one of the sweethearts. And so, if you have a favorite session in the past, even a prompt, I'd love to hear what you've enjoyed. And oops, someone messaged me privately, please set yours to everyone. And they said that they loved the spin the wheel. Oh, yeah. So there's 52 prompts, weekly prompts. And one of them is you spin the wheel and you spin it twice. There's this wheel of names and you spin it twice. And after you spin it, it tells you how to mash up two of the prompts, which can be really fun. Yeah, good. Oh, good. I love to see all the woofers. That's great. Thank you so much. All right. So we've been at this since 2021, and like I said, there's a lot of resources available. And if you watch the prompts each week, you may notice that in 2021, it was my weight loss year. I lost 4.5 stones that year, and a stone is equal to about 65 pounds. So if you're looking to lose weight too, that might give you some incentive. We can lose weight together that year. But before we get started, I want to show you what we've been doing so far in Make It Your Lettering Year. Excellent. So, week one is really about getting to know your own handwriting and improving your handwriting. If you want to improve your handwriting, at Blackwing, oops, let me see if I can copy and paste this. I'm an ambassador for Blackwing, and I also partner with their foundation to teach lettering to children. And so, even though the classes are designed for kids grades 3 and up, anyone can take these classes, and it's handwriting classes. It's really fun classes. I'll pop that in the chat. And right now I'm working on Introduction to Cursive. So we'll be doing cursive and it should come out this spring. So week two were tools and the marks that they make. And so we were looking at the tools and we had an entire year full of tools. That was a really fun year because um, Carol Dubosh gave that assignment to me as we need to cover tools. Yeah. And Carol from Manitoba is saying that you love the Carol Dubosh series. Yep. All the sweethearts. So for those of you that are thinking, who are the sweethearts? Well, it's Carol Dubosh, Sharon Zoigan, and Mike Gold, and they will be back this year as well. And Diana, great that you loved Sarah Greenman. That was a wonderful creative prompt where we did some writing and drawing, and that's great. And good. Oh, I love, Veronique, hearing you say that you come back to the lessons and to the recording of the live sessions, depending on the project. And a lot of people go to these prompts because the prompts can be anywhere from a few minutes, 5 minutes, to some of them are up to a half an hour. And they're just lettering tips to get the ink flowing, and then you can take it from there. Great. And so week three was, again, it was probably a live session, improving your handwriting, planning your lettering year, and accordion books with pockets. So those have been the last 3 years of live sessions. So the accordion books with pockets was a great way, that was during the tools or the book year, where you could test out all your tools on paper and put them on cards and then stick them inside of an accordion book that had pockets so that you can test out all those tools, kind of do some tryouts, and have a key or a legend of all of your tools. And one of my favorite things to do is collect letters. So in the upper left-hand corner there, you see an old-time address book. And I got this idea from Carol Dubosh. She has an old-time address book that she writes Jubilee in. And if you've never learned Jubilee from Carol, it's her own signature style, and she teaches you how to create your own Jubilee alphabet. And that was also in a past session. I think it was in 2023. In the upper right hand corner is a travel journal where I take scraps of paper and I fold them up and I stick them inside of a bound journal that has some ties around it so that the paper can go in and out. And so I travel with that. And it's a great way, especially if you have a journal and you're thinking, oh, I want to do like a section that's just about this chapter of my trip or this chapter of my life, then you can pull out all those pages and create your own signatures and create your own book. And then the lower one where it says ABC, that was inspired by Brandy Agerbeck. So some of you may have seen her live session this last fall when she taught us how to make visual trackers. And she uses a card system called Stack Magic, where she's using index cards. And it's just, again, another great way to check out or to collect letters. Okay, I'm seeing that the link might need to be updating. Oh, I see that. Okay, I think it's lettering series without the hyphen. I think I had yeah, thank you so much, Hazel, for putting the right link in. That's a great one. That's the intro to lettering. Yeah. So I'm just going to ask you to take some action in your lettering year. Think about creating space, creating time and space to make your letters, whatever that looks like and works great for you. And one of the sessions, the last year, we had Amity Parks do a pencil lettering session. That was one of the many sessions. So if you like pencil lettering, including adding those great, beautiful shadows behind already existing lettering, that's one of the mini sessions that is recorded and available to you. And then I just want to remind everyone that February is World Pangram Month, starting on February 1st. And it was coined here at Let's Letter Together that February is World Pangram Month. If you go to pangramlove.com, you can download a list of winning pangrams. We've had a contest every year for the last couple of years, but we're not going to do it this year. We'll take a little bit of a hiatus. When I get back in front of my stickers, I can sell them again. And we've got these beautiful pangram stickers, and you can continue to write your own pangrams as well. Okay, I think that's about it. Let's wander with wonder this year when it comes to lettering. Um, and let me just show you what I'm going to be working with today. I am so excited to be able to be mobile. I have my home studio set up right here in the snug, and I've got my IPVO. So this is just a few things. You don't have to have any of these things. Really, all you need is some paper and a pencil, some of your favorite lettering tools if you have them. And but I'm just going to show you some of these products for those of you who might be lettering with Neuland markers. Or if Neuland markers are new to you, that's okay. This is just going to be a brief overview. So let me just make sure that I've got some of the things that you're going to want to have on hand. I want to copy and put those in the chat. So first of all, you're going to want to gather some of those favorite mark making tools. I'd like you to be thinking of, if you don't already have some exemplars, meaning examples of lettering, be thinking about one lettering style that can scale up and down, or maybe think of up to three favorite lettering styles that you might have in your head. When we think about scaling up and down in hierarchy, you might want a large, a medium, and a smaller lettering style. For example, I would choose Neuland Hand for a large title lettering style. Architect can be scaled up and down, and so can italic, depending on the size of your tool. You will want the handout. If you missed it in the email, no worries. I'm going to share it in the chat now. And you can either open it up on your screen, you can print it out, or you can simply draw it along with me. And so I'm putting the link in the chat here. That should take you to it. If you have any issues with the link, just let me know. But I'm also just going to draw it with you. So it's a very simple drawing. Don't worry. If you mess it up, you don't have to worry about anybody seeing you because we're not going to share it. That's not a problem. And I will show you what that's going to look like. I did draw it on my iPad. Hey, it's upside down and sideways. And so it's simply just 3 yard darts and 3 main words, and I'll take you through the rest and we'll just draw some grass. So it's very easy, but I'll draw this for you in just a moment using these markers. These are the Big One art marker. This is an art marker that I helped design because I always wanted a Big One brush marker. This is the largest brush marker in the world. That is made by Neuland. What's great about these markers is that they are reusable, they're refillable with ink, and the nibs are replaceable. I'll have just a few other colors. I like gray because it's like writing with a pencil in some cases, and black, and a couple of outline markers that I might use on these aesthetics. And what an aesthetic is it's like a I would say a post-it note, but it uses static electricity. So it doesn't stick. It's not sticky, but it does adhere to other things. So I might just do that once I have my goals. For those of you who may not know, I am the publisher of Lettering Journey, which is a book that is made for and designed for visual practitioners, but any artist, any calligrapher or lettering artist might enjoy it as well. And of course, always having my Blackwing pencil at the ready. So let's go ahead and get started. You may want to have also some extra paper on hand. I'm going to have some wicked line paper because I'm going to do some free writing, and you might want to have that available as well. All right, so what I'd love for you to do is reflect on this past year with regards to the lettering journey that you've been on. And I'm curious, and this is, you don't have to answer this for me, but I want you to answer this for you, and we're going to do some free writing. maybe list out where you have been, and that could be actual location, it could be classes that you've studied that you would like to return to. So think about in the last year, where have you been that you would like to return to, or a project that you were working on, or maybe a tool that you have mastered. So reflecting back, I am going to put on a 2 minute timer. So for 2 minutes, just reflect in the last year. What are some of the things that you've really enjoyed? Maybe places you've been, tools that you've mastered, things that you've studied, or something that you've worked on. Let's take the next 2 minutes to work that out. And again, this is your handwriting. Doesn't have to be fancy. We're not going to be sharing it with each other. Got about 30 seconds left. Excellent. We'll just take a bit of a pause there. And if anyone wants to share something that they've been super excited about, please feel free to type that in the chat. I personally have been making what I call moon cookies. Moon cookies are um, a seed cycling cookie, and I'd be happy to share that as a recipe if any of you are interested in that. You can also make granola out of the same things. I'm happy to share that after the session in an email. And I've been making a lot of new friends because I've been going places where I don't know anyone. It's part of a isolation therapy, I guess you could say. But feel free to put in the chat something that you may have written down that you feel comfortable sharing with everyone. So reflecting back on this last year, what are some of the highlights? What are some of the things that you've been excited about? Either places you've gone, things you've studied, projects you've worked on. Attended the first calligraphy conference in person, IAMPT. That's awesome. Yep, attending first sessions on sketchnoting. Yeah, sketchnoting actually saved my brain and saved my life after a head injury. So I'd love to talk more about that, Hazel, maybe after today's session. Allison's rediscovering all of your fountain pens. You're not the only one. Someone told me the other day that they had over 100 fountain pens and they were going to pull them all out and try them all, make sure that they were still flowing. Sketching daily with different pens and colors. I love sketching with pens. I think that forces me, gets me away from the pencil, but it forces me to really think about, I would say, intentional lines. Snail mail exchange and receiving mail. That's always really fun. I get asked a lot where I am, where people can send me mail, and they can't because I'm on the road, I'm on the move. And the Dallas Penn Show was a lot of fun. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Lucy. Keep sharing in the chat because I think it's a great way for us to get ideas about what we could focus on in the coming year, which takes us to our next prompt, which is where have you been thinking of exploring? So let's go ahead and start that again, another 2 minutes. Think about where would you like to explore next? We've got about 30 seconds left. Okay, go ahead and finish up your last places you want to go. Feel free to type anything in the chat that you feel like you're brave enough to share. I know sometimes when we think about what we want to do next, it's like, well, I don't really want to tell anybody. That's okay. I'm happy to share some of mine. And some of the things could be the same answer as what you put before, more of something, right? I've been in Scotland for the last 3 months and I want more of it. I would take as much Scotland as I can get because I've just fallen in love with it. But I also want to go all over Europe. Yes, I plan on being in Canada. I will let you know, Susan, as soon as I get there. And I'd love to see more of the UK. I'm also interested in learning about beekeeping and bees. I'm interested in medicinal plants and lavender. If I do this wolfing thing, I'd love to check out some cacao farms. All right, Sanibel Island. That's exciting. Veronique, I would say go come to London. Absolutely. Now we're writing all of this out because we want just some fodder for our Wander with Wonder map. And this map that I'm going to show next isn't going to be the only way. It's not carved in stone. It's simply a series of lawn darts to focus on. And we'll do a little bit more writing in just a moment. This is just to warm us up. Ooh, a pilgrimage to Iona, Lindisfarne. Let's talk, Jenny, because if you're talking about the island of Iona, or is this somewhere else? Is that in Scotland? Is it Italy? Love to hear where that is because I'm thinking about some of the other islands in the Hebrides. Oh, great, Lucy. Sketchnoting is a great thing to teach your kiddos, and would love for them to check out my kids' lettering sessions. And I have a sketchnoting class too that's online. France, Ireland, Japan. Yeah, who wouldn't want to go to New Zealand? I always say that Scotland looked like New Zealand and Colorado had a baby, which I love. Greece, Denmark. I love Denmark. Catching calamari in Greece. Oh, good. Off Mull. Okay, let's talk, Jenny. Maybe we can meet in Iona. I think that would be great. Yes, I want to see the Atlantic too. I just have to look right out my window between all of the islands. Yes, we'll keep writing together. Awesome. Yay. I love that we're going to stay in contact because that's how I stay with the rest of the world. So now what I'd like you to do is a little bit of free writing. This might have been some list making. Maybe you wrote some whys, but now we want to do some free writing. And free writing is not about editing. It is going to be about just conscious or almost subconscious writing. It's just going to be a continuation of maybe what you are already doing or something dreamlike and new. So, what I'd love for you to do is think about um, where you are now and maybe what could the next year lettering practice look like. And I'd love for you to, what does it look like? What does it feel like? You might even add some of the other senses that you have, people that you want to meet, but I don't want you to edit. I'll give you some time for that. You'll be able to distill that down, but let's take another 2 minutes and just give the essence about what will your next lettering practice in 2026 look like. You might describe your studio, where you are. Just start. You have about 30 seconds left. Excellent. All right. Now, this you don't have to share in the chat. This is where I want you to really keep this to yourself. You can keep expanding this. I will share for me, I want to stay mobile. I want to do some world traveling, live sessions every month. I want to stay connected no matter where I am. I really do want to wander and I want to stay curious. I want to feature people and places that I'm visiting and their work. I want to letter together. I want to grieve together. I want to breathe, heal, and just be together. And when I was thinking about, well, what does that feel like? For me, it's about choosing a healthy lifestyle with foods, movement, hiking. I really need balance and play. So now, what I'd love to do is get us to that wander map. And that wander map is, you may have seen it in the chat. Let me see if I can pop it back in. Hopefully, that link worked. It was just the link from the email, but I'll pop it back in the chat if for some reason you need to bring that up again. And you might want to do a layout that's similar to this. I've left some intentional spaces on the actual page, and I'm also going to draw these here. But we're going to go over, don't worry about the top. I do want you to leave some space in the upper left, but I do want you to leave space around achievable, attainable, and aspirational. But you can just divide your page in three ways, however you want to do. And I want us to be kind about how we set our, and I'm going to call them targets. Some people don't like goals. So instead of like a goal post or a goal, we're going to talk about targets. So I'm curious, just by a raise of hands, who here has thrown lawn darts or yard darts? Has anybody ever done that? Okay. And you know, the first time you do it, they're awkward because they don't go where you think they're going to go, right? They just sort of, they're heavy or they're light, depending on how strong you are. And they've got this little weight on them. And then sometimes they stick in the ground and sometimes they don't. Unless you are a professional yard or lawn dart thrower, it's you may miss the target. So we are truly wandering with wonder. And we're going to have three different darts. So we can start out by drawing those out. I'm going to color code mine as blue. And oops, I filled up almost the entire page. And you're going to have a little bit of a, I guess it would be like a feather, or this is the part at the end that helps it fly. And then just a little weight there. And if you want to put a point on it, you certainly can. And I'll do that with three different colors here. You may already have the handout, so it's no big deal. And we're going to be gentle on ourselves. We're not going to work too hard at and be too hard on ourselves when it comes to our goals. But we are going to have three different targets. Our first one is one that is achievable. And so, what does that mean? This is sort of the easiest one. This is the one that has to do with your own internal capacity, something that you know you can already do, but it does require action. The second one is about attainability. Is this attainable? Meaning you are going to put a little bit more effort in it, but it's actually more external. So you're going to have to go out from outside of yourself because there are conditions outside of yourself. And there's also availability. This is not just your availability, but this is are others available to help you attain this target. And then we have aspirational. And aspirational is a little bit further out. That target is a little bit further out. You've had to throw it a little bit further to get to it. It's going to take a little bit more effort. And it might be something that you desire, that you long for. You have a longing for it, but it definitely has to be something that you're going to have to direct, maybe others or yourself. It's going to take some direction and maybe even some directing. And by labeling each one of these, by defining these, we're going to be sort of planting a seed for each one. So you'll notice I wrote a little bit in, well, I wrote in bold, I wrote in all caps, a little bit bigger and then a little bit smaller on the tip of my marker. I wrote a bit lighter. So again, you can use your own handwriting. You can use a specific lettering style if you want to give this hierarchy. And you might want to come back and refine this too if you need. So let's, looking back at the notes that we had here, look at some of the things and consider what is achievable to you. Like, what is it that's internally that you can do that was on your list that you want to do more of? And it's internal. So it's really about what do you have the capacity for and what could you take action on? And it could be one thing, it could be more. But these are things that you know that you can achieve because some of them might be things that you're already doing. And it may not depend on anyone else. I put some arrows over here because I realize in order for me to study and practice these first two things, I need other people. So when it comes to attainable, these are more external. These have to do with other people and outside conditions and what's available. So, what are some of those things that are more attainable that you would like to do? Looking back at at what you've free written. And then finally, in terms of aspirational, what is something that would be a stretch for you? What's something that feels like it would take a lot more effort? Might take a lot more effort, more time. It's a bigger project. And notice I'm just writing a few words here compared to the full page of things that I wrote that were sort of not categorized. So now we're categorizing some of these things that we want to do. And since these are like seeds, let's ask ourselves, what do we need to do in order to nourish these goals? So if you have a bunch of goals or just one, maybe if you have one, great. But if you have a bunch here, if you just to choose one, what is one way that you can nourish that goal? And it might be make time for it. It might be making sure that you're healthy to do it, that other people's needs are taken care of so that you can really focus your energy on your project. But what is it going to take to nourish some of these targets? can be something very specific or it can be general. Now, if you're like me, I've got a whole page full of new words here, but at least I feel like I've categorized them and thought about them. When I think in general terms about something that's achievable and it's internal, I'm thinking, well, I need to practice and prioritize being over doing. So if you're a bunch of doers and you like lists and doing things, of course it's going to be achievable. But for my internal things that I need to do here, it's really about a balance. And for those of you who've been around me so far for a while, you know that I practice radical self-care. Now, when it comes to something that's attainable, I want to travel. Um, that's a big piece that I want to do. It's going to require me, especially if I want to do wolfing or working with other collaborators, that I need to strengthen and foster relationships. So that's going outside of myself to make sure that my relationships with others are strong. And then when it comes to being aspirational, I tend to be a little bit more focused on the process of how to reach some of these bigger goals. If you have a problem or if you have challenges reaching some really big goals, like I want to write a book. I've already done one, but I know it took me 2.5 years. So I'd love for to write a book in less than a year. That would be great, or several books. And I know that a couple of things need to happen. I have to start now and make it a habit or a practice. And then I need to revisit my progress, probably on a quarterly basis. And a good practice that I have found is that if I do it on a quarterly basis, I can then redecide or recommit if it's something that I do want to do. So, any questions so far about the three different types of target: achievable, attainable, and aspirational? Were you able to get all three going? And feel free to unmute if that's easier or faster than typing in the chat.
So, Heather,
Yeah.
um, the way I see it is you have, sorry, I'm a consultant, so 2 by 2 matrix there.
Yeah.
On one hand, you have how easy it is versus how difficult. So something achievable
Yes.
is easy versus something aspirational is a lot of effort. On the other hand, you have, is it within my control or does it depend on forces outside of my control, like what
Right.
you have between achievable and attainable?
Yeah.
So in this 2 by 2, you have achievable is easy and within my control. You have attainable is easy and with outside conditions. And then you have difficult, which could be either in my control or
Hmm.
outside.
Right. So are you doing, is effort along, I'd say,
Yeah, let's say it doesn't matter. I have easy
yeah.
and difficult on the left hand side.
Yeah. Yep. And then you said effort, and what was the other thing? It's
Control.
control. That's great. That's an awesome way to be able to look at that, right? So you've got low effort, so it's easy. High effort is difficult. So this is like an arrow this way and an arrow this way. I love a good 2 by 2. And then
Uh,
control, you
it could
said
be within
it's,
my control or
huh?
within, like, depending on somebody else.
Yep. So you've got, so what's over here in this one?
Yeah, that's the question. So, so,
Ah, okay.
so
Yeah, well, I'm not teaching a two by two. I'm
no,
teaching
no,
these
no, no,
three,
no,
but
no. I'm
that's
just
really
clarifying.
great.
So
Yeah.
basically, I mean, it comes to your aspirational. It is
Hmm.
difficult, and it could be either within my control
Yeah.
or, it can straddle. It can be both.
So
Both.
here is my feeling is that if it's easy and I have it in my control,
That you're
that's
achievable.
definitely achievable, right?
Hmm.
If it's going to take a little bit more effort and it's outside of my, or maybe it's easy and it takes outside of control. Okay, so you're doing this.
Yes.
And then the aspirational is, I think it can be either. It can be, it's going to take more effort. So it's these two things. It's,
Yep.
so it's
That's how I mapped it to just
within your control and it's difficult, or it's someone else and it's difficult. Yeah. Yeah. That makes total sense. Actually, these should like be on the outside here, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes,
Yeah, I got it.
these two things here go to here. And
So
so
one
the,
example would be, I want to lose 30% of my weight. That depends on me, but it is super difficult. The other one would
yes.
be I want to publish a book, which it depends on me, but it depends on a bunch of other outside circumstances outside of me.
Exactly. Exactly. And what I love about this, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that the easy stuff, you can certainly click those boxes and get them done. But what you don't want to do is spend so much time doing these easy things that you don't plant some seeds or make some steps for the more difficult things that take more time, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I'm saying that for others in the room that might be like, why are we doing this two by two exercise? It's that you really have to spend some time investing in yourself and others to be able to get to these more difficult ones. Because how often do we not do the hard things? We do all
Yep.
the easy things. What else advice would you offer, Anita? Thank you so much.
No, so I'm a corporate strategist. So this
Uh-huh.
maps so nicely to corporate strategy because you have
Yeah.
quick wins, which are
Yeah.
your achievable.
Yep.
And then you have what I normally call the worthy efforts, which take a lot of effort, but hey, boy, are they worth it if you can advance them, which are your aspirational.
Yeah, and something I would add because I actually do a lot of corporate strategy too is I would say if you know the mission of the organization, what am I doing to contribute to that mission or to my
Yep.
team or to yeah, I would say to me or my team or the mission, here is where would I work with the team to do the mission. So, how am I working with others in the organization to meet that mission? And then this one is almost like, okay, we've met the mission. What are we doing to carry the vision even further?
Yep.
If that makes sense for those of you in the room that are more visual practitioners. Yeah, cool. Anyone else have questions or anything to add? Thank you so much. Anyone else? So now what I'd love to do is just talk about that title. Now, some of you are about this might be all lettering. I kind of went off. I lost the plot a little bit when it came to lettering. I could say that, on Achievable for myself, it might be that I need to practice every day, of course, or practice on the on an occasion. But the achievable might be because one of the things that I really, really love to do is teach. So it might be that is easy. I can teach all the time, even though that requires other people. Um, I can develop the materials and develop new ways to teach. And then I could teach, and this is attainable others. So setting up workshops, because that takes a lot more effort and I have to depend on my colleagues and my friends to host me, set up the locations, that kind of thing. And then something that might be aspirational. And I talked about maybe writing a handwriting or cursive book, but one of the things that I've been wanting to do in terms of lettering is to compile a book of other people's work based on what I'm teaching. So I have a very specific exercise where I bring out lettering styles that people don't even realize they have inside of them, um, but other people's work. So compiling a book, working with others. But the book is what makes it aspirational because it not only is working with others, but now we've got to publish something. So that's something that I could do specific around lettering. And so, reflecting on these three targets, is there something that is there a word or a phrase that you would use to title this, to give it a name? We could just be very general and say the lawn of lettering, right? Because we've thrown darts on it. But we can also say something a little bit deeper or a little bit more specific around a word or a phrase that you could use to title it. And if you have a larger marker, this is a great time to bring it in because it's a title hierarchy wise. Just take a moment to reflect on that. I'm going to do one of the hardest things there is, and that is draw an airplane. For those of you who know how to draw airplanes, you can laugh at my little airplane. And what this is I've named mine Landing My Lettering Practice. So I tend to be a big thinker. I have a wild imagination and I work impulsively. But every once in a while, I need whatever I want to do here to actually land. And I mean ground it. I need to ground some of my ideas to make it happen. So this is not just a title, but it's also an encouragement to me to make that happen. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, Hazel. Was it clearer once I wrote it, I should say? A bit more. Yeah, and it might be that you can't do it right now. You can come back to it and reflect to it later. You can go more of a feeling type of thing and say, how does this feel to me? And it might be, might be something that's more of I would say a visceral thing, but it's just you might even have a whole project where you've just created some targets around one project and you put your project name there. Yeah. No, sometimes it's a bit hard to ask in the chat too. So if anyone else needs clarification, feel free to unmute. Just want to title it. That's all. And so what you can do is you can repeat this process or build onto what you've already written down. And if you're feeling expressive and brave, feel free to type in the chat maybe one of the darts that that you are interested in focusing on. And again, like I said before, it's not something that you have to do because I know sharing whatever it is that you think you're about to do, you don't want it to be a leaking of energy, right? You want it to be something that really happens. But if you're feeling brave, feel free to put it in the chat and we'll celebrate that. And it might even be that you wrote some things down that you never even really expected. Planning to bring more visual practice into your everyday life. I love this. When I decided that I wanted to be a full-time visual practitioner and I joined and helped co-create the Visioneering team in Washington, D.C., I told myself I am going to make ideas visual every day. I had to. It was part of my job. And it really forced me before I went there to work on the team and work with the team. It really forced me to do it. And that means carrying around a way you can nourish is carry around a sketchbook, your favorite pen or pencil, whatever it is you like drawing with. And then do it for yourself, but pretty soon, do it for others. So write in front of others, ask other people questions, start to illustrate their ideas. Yeah, long aim of doing this for something significant in work. Exactly. That's how I started. I was sketchnoting for a year before I really showed anyone at work. And then once I got some more formal training, I dedicated an entire year of trying to learn from as many people as possible. Then I started doing it at work and making a business case of why it would be very successful in the workplace. And then I was able to use that to leverage getting more training. Yeah. Oh, Anita, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, fitness, that's a big piece of that. Hanging out with people whenever you travel, I love that. And revamping content across your website, social, and newsletter. Doesn't that feel like that's just never ending? I feel like as soon as I put something out there, post a blog, or even make any updates to my website, I feel like it's already out of date. Like I'm already on to the next thing. Excellent. Yeah, neater in bullet journaling and teaching your kids good practice for life skills and note taking. That is going to be something that they will value for a lifetime. And you know that that's such a great skill. Yeah, you titled your sheet Leaving a Legacy. That's beautiful, whether it's for your children or for people that come after you and people that you teach. That's great. I would say that the way that I can become really neat, and of course you didn't see it here, folks. I was writing so fast. So to be neater, you just for me, it's about slowing down and becoming more intentional. Oh, Veronique, I'm very sorry to hear about your father's passing. Yeah, I understand having the creative output from someone. My husband, my beloved Ray, he has a lot of photographs, and I want to put together a book of his work. And I know that's not something I'm going to finish in the next year. It's going to be something that I spend a lot of time to do. And so for you to do some calligraphy text of some of his work is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. So, really, the key takeaways, hopefully, if you want to put them in the chat, you can. But for me, it's about creating these targets, like a lawn dart. You just throw it and hope that it lands in front of you and not fall behind you or drop it on your foot. But really, it's about just throwing some ideas out there. And some of you might have some real strategic visioning practices. I respect those. I do a lot myself, whether it's from the Grove, Christina Merkley. I've got a lot of other teachers that I've learned strategic visualization from, and I customize my own charts. This is a very simple one, but to consider achievable, what do I have control over, and that I can do? And as was shared, what do we have effort enough? What effort is going to have to go into it? What's attainable? It's going to take a little bit more, plus it's going to involve outside people, and then, of course, aspirational. And many of you may have heard this before, but for those of you who haven't, or as a reminder, we can overestimate what we can do in a day, but we underestimate what we can achieve in a year. And so just want to remind you that for you doers in the room, you love checking off all of those tasks on a list. That's great. But that makes up a day. But what will make up a year is having that practice and practicing making those habits to do that. Yeah. And one way to do that, Julie's saying, I want to train my lettering style 10 minutes each day. Do you have tips for 10-minute homeworks? Ooh, that's really, really good. Okay. So if anybody else has some tips for Julie, please comment to her on the chat. But for me, 10 minutes means having the time and space to do that. And because 10 minutes isn't a lot of time, tacking it on to something else that already exists. First of all, always have whatever your writing instrument's going to be, and it might be different. If it's different, have a whole bag full of them, right? put them in a pencil bag or some type of a bag, whatever your tools need to be. And so have your writing instrument, have whatever you're going to write on. It might be a notebook, it might be something, a sketchbook, having those at the ready. And then attach that to something. If you like to have a morning coffee, a mid-morning coffee, or if you want to maybe write out a list using your lettering style of the things that you achieved that day, you could do it at the end of the day, sort of book, I call it bookending. In the beginning of the day, I have certain habits that I do at the beginning of every day. That's the first part of my bookend, meaning if I had a whole bunch of things that I did during the day. And then the final thing is I do like to write down what did I do today? And that's a great celebration to say, oh, I achieved something. And if I do it early enough in the day, I still might have enough time to do something if I feel like I haven't progressed enough. So, is that helpful, Julie? Having some ways to just make sure you've got your tools, make it a habit by tacking it on to something else you're already doing. Is that helpful? Yeah. Susan's saying a very similar, have your materials ready and a space cleaned. Yeah, because sometimes we won't go to the space if there's no space for us to work. And sometimes we clean the space and use the 10 minutes just cleaning the space. Yeah. Yeah, and I love that write down three things. And again, you might go back to this target sheet that we've done here and write on it. You could do this, it doesn't have to be done every day, but you might add to it or you might check some things off. Cool. So, where will you put this chart? Will you redraw it? Will you create something similar to it? Will it be next to your desk in your studio? You could put it on your bathroom mirror so that you see it when you're brushing your teeth. It's a great thing to be looking at. Will you have it in a sketchbook? So I would love for you to join me next month. It's going to be the third Tuesday again, same time, in a special root to heart breath exercise. You can bring a project that you've been working on, trying to letter, and your supplies. And but I'm going to say, don't make it the hardest thing you're doing. Just make it something that you want to work on after, maybe after the session or after I teach you this root to heart breath. It's a breath exercise you can use before you letter or for really any occasion. It's a breathing exercise that I've learned and I'm getting certified in that you can do, and it's designed to connect you to you and the earth so that you can be grounded to do your best work. And for those of you who are thinking about, do you want to be a part of Make It Your Lettering Year? And for those of you who are signed up, you might be excited to know that in March, we're going to have Mike Gold back for an extended Big Bad Brush workshop. So if you have purchased Make It Your Lettering Year, then you have lifetime access to the mini session that he did last fall. And in March, I'm going to cover a series of brush techniques to get you warmed up. The workshop does cost a little extra, and it's a two-session event. But I do want to let you know that the session that I will be doing that's going to be in brush lettering, that will be closed only to those who are in Make It Your Lettering Year. And a quick side note, if you want to do some brush lettering with me, this Saturday at the Flourish Summit, that was in an email that went out earlier today, I'm going to do a special Let Grief Speak session. So for those of you who aren't familiar with my Let Grief Speak series, it's a series of free writing prompts, sort of like what we did today. I have you free write, I have you distill down some key words, and then we letter them. And so in this session, I'm going to show a little bit of brush lettering, but the focus is going to be how do you compose maybe a couple of words or a short phrase and add flourishing to it. So we'll be doing some brush lettering. And in April, we have Carol Dubosh, and she's going to be offering a mini session. And again, this one, because when I bring in special guests, I pay them. And so I just ask for a $25 drop in fee if you're not part of Make It Your Lettering Year, but it's free for those who have already purchased Make It Your Lettering Year. Yeah, am I able to share the dates for Mike Gold's? Absolutely. I will follow up all of that. I will follow up everything that I mentioned here. I will put it in the follow up email along with the recording to today's session in case you need some guidance about the writing and filling out these targets. Later on in the year, we're going to have Sharon Zoigan. So those are all of our three sweethearts. And I'll probably offer some marketing and portfolio presentation and some community calls throughout the year as well. So I will be dialing in from a new location in Scotland next month. I'll be out of the snug and probably back onto the mainland. And I just want to wish all of you some wonderful luck with getting your targets, achieving your targets. And I want to encourage you to keep wandering with wonder and lettering in life.